I wasn't aware just how massive Plants vs Zombies reach was until my own silly little video was seen by 600 times the population of my hometown. I knew Plants vs Zombies was popular, but I didn't know that it had so much impact across all forms of media. So in this video, I'll be showing you every single recorded reference to Plants vs Zombies in all media. Quick disclaimer, I will be using the Plants vs Zombies wiki for a lot of this information, and I know some people can get a bit angsty about using wikis, but I argue that 1, this much information spanning so much media can't be recorded by 1 or 2 people. It needs a dedicated community of people recording such information. Plus I fact checked everything as part of the footage collection stage of this video. And 2, I would argue that if you're so good at researching without Wikipedia, where's your silver play button, huh? Mine's on my desk under a pile of shit because I don't know how to put it up because I have the DIY skills of a fetus. So thank you to the people maintaining the wiki and enjoy the video. Starting with the inspiration for this video, in the world of Warcraft, you can unlock the sunflower as a pet. I've been playing a bunch of WoW recently, and seeing someone walk around with the sunflower was definitely the weirdest jump scare of my life. To unlock the plant, you need to speak to a goblin named Brazy the Botanist, who makes you play a shitty version of Plants vs Zombies. I went and unlocked it myself for this video, and seeing 2 of my childhood games converging like this was a really fun experience. I'll do the rest of the entries in alphabetical order, but I thought this one just had to go first. In Age of Zombies, a twin-stick shooter game where you play as the jetpack joyride guy, the results screen will sometimes display the message, "Despite another game's misinformation, plants cannot protect you from zombies." This only appears in older versions of the game though. In Arknights, think Bloons Tower Defense but all the monkeys have big lovely baps, there's a stage that resembles the pool levels from Plants vs Zombies 1. In this stage, enemies will sometimes spawn in large groups to mimic the Plants vs Zombies flag system. In Battlefield 4, another EA property, you can find a small pea shooter in the map Dawnbreaker. In Battlefield Mobile, there's a Plants vs Zombies 2 poster. In Bloons Tower Defense 4, think Arknights but the anime girls don't have big lovely baps, there's a map called Monkeys vs Balloons which resembles the pool stage. This map's only available in the mobile version of the game. In Carrot Fantasy 3, a Chinese tower defense game with exceedingly little information online, a detective variant of the main character says, "According to the piece spread all across the crime scene, the criminal had probably gone to the wrong game." I couldn't download the game in English, but Google Glass tells me that this definitely translates to something close. In Cookie Run, a game where cookies run I guess, when starting the game as the zombie cookie, it will say that it's worried about encountering plants along the way. Additionally, it's mentioned in-game that the zombie cookie has a bad relationship with herb cookie and beet cookie, both of which are plant themed. In Dead Rising 2, there is an event called Zomboni, in which you drove around an ice resurfacer that looks strikingly similar to the Zomboni from Plants vs Zombies 1. For an unexplained reason in a 2011 update however, this event was renamed to Zombie Tank. Lame. In DLC Quest, a game about buying DLC, after buying the DLC Harmless Plants and feeding it to a zombie sheep, a shepherd will say, "Who would have thought that plants could defeat zombies?" In Dying Light, if you parkour through these mountains, you will find some maybe sunflowers. Upon interacting with them, you're teleported to a recreation of Plants vs Zombies. This one's similar to the World of Warcraft one, and they're my favourite reference by far. Like, this isn't a cheap throwaway line of dialogue, this would have taken a lot of effort. Dragon Age Inquisition has multiple references to Plants vs Zombies. Firstly, you can find a row of sunflowers next to some corpses. There's also a codex entry called Plants vs Corpses. This entry is so densely packed with references, I'm just going to read it all to you and sort of chuck shit on screen to explain it. In all the strange struggles that have raged across Ferelden, one of the most peculiar is the Battle of Pauper's Cap. A powerful demon bent on gaining power in the mortal world raised an army of corpses to assault the home of Helianthus, a reclusive apostate who is said to possess both fabulous wealth and great knowledge. While the demon saw the perfect host in this bejeweled bookworm, Helianthus was not without defense of her own. As the corpses shoveled towards her house, Helianthus called to the demon, declaring that though she was just a simple apostate, the demon would see her power an entire infantry. Then, calling upon her magic, she summoned spirits into the plants in her vegetable patch, creating countless tiny sylvans. The resulting garden warfare saw corpses armed with buckets and doors as makeshift helmets and shields, battling possessed fruits and vegetables who spat seeds, constructed makeshift fortifications, and even chomped entire corpses whole. In the end, the area around Helianthus' home became both garden and graveyard, home to the corpses destroyed as she defended herself and this world from the demon. Had she been defeated and her great brain turned to the demon's purposes, we might well have seen such terrible corpses rampaging through the great pyramids of Parvolin and the pirate-infested waters of Lormarin, or even into the unknown western lands. Is that my lunch? I thought we were dining on bacon today. I was informed that there would be bacon. No, I shall not take the pot off my head. Why? Because I'm mad. An unsourced and debatable tale from Davith the Mad, supposedly shared in his estate in Walnut Hills, where he spent his later years. Boy, reading that was some thirsty work. If only I had a drink that was super refreshing, full of vitamins and minerals, keto friendly, zero sugar, and with enough caffeine to get my ass over to the gym, all while wrapped in big brazen, back-breaking boobies. Well, with the sponsor of my channel, GamerSupps, I can have just that. I personally love the blue one, but how could you go wrong with raw meat or nuclear bombsicle? Using code SHAGROT will save you 10% and more importantly, net me some money as well. Go on over to gamersupps.gg or hit up the link in the description and use code SHAGROT to get yourself a good ass drink and to support the channel. In Hearthstone, another Shagrot childhood classic, the card Razor Petal Lasher has the flavor text, the reason why there are no zombies in Ungoro. I'm so sad I never knew this one, because I used to use this card all the time in my Miracle Rogue deck. In Kingdom of Loathing, a kind of text-based browser multiplayer role-playing game, if you go down the Zombie Slayer path, you'll be attacked by the P-Cannon, who resembles the Repeater. In Kingdom Rush, there is a level with 5 hidden ice rooms. Upon collecting all of them, you unlock the achievement called Plants vs Trolls. In the obscure indie game League of Legends, the cunty plant lady has a hidden passive where if she kills Scion or Karthus, 2 undead characters, or vice versa, they receive 2 additional gold. In Mass Effect Andromeda, you can find a plush version of the pea shooter and the scientist. There's also a mini Z7 imp, but that one's already kind of a crossover character, so that barely counts. In the Skywire VIP Extended, a quiz game made on Scratch, you can see a walnut, pea shooter, a sunflower, and 2 zombies, in a Plants vs Zombies question. Does a kid's Scratch game count as media? I don't know. Octogeddon contains a shitload of Plants vs Zombies references. Not all of them are as clear cut, but I'll order them from least to most interesting. The Shell Shop is based on Crazy Dave's Twiddly Dinks. There is a road cone in the background of the Shell Shop. The Snake DNA and its upgrades are supposedly based on the pea shooter. After each level, you get coins in a similar manner to PvZ. Before a big wave of enemies appear, you get the message, a huge wave of enemies are approaching. Catfish Carl is a nod to Crazy Dave, and even speaks in the same iconic language. Best of all, in a cutscene during the Paris Independent Film Festival, the award of Best Octopus is won by the Dolphin from Plants vs Zombies 1. That's so hard. Oh, and Octogeddon was created by George Fan, a reference to how Plants vs Zombies was created by George Fan. In PewDiePie's Tuber Simulator, the best and possibly only good YouTuber tie-in game, one of the default names of a video is Plants vs Vampires. In Plague Inc., an indie legend in which you create custom plagues and try and adapt it to spread across the world, one of the news articles read, Crazy Dave convicted of garden centre robbery. In State of Decay, a really fun zombie survival game, you can find dead zombies complete with some road cones facing off some sunflowers. In The Sims 4, a game that comes pre-installed with your girlfriend, it contains a book called Gardening Volume 1, Water, Light and Dirt, written by Wacky Daniel. The description of the book says, learn to plant stuff. Why? Because I'm wacky, which is my vote for least funny reference in this video. In Wuthering Waves, which is just Genshin Impact if you're not wearing any glasses, killing this plant bullet gives you this achievement. Now I want to take a brief moment to let you know how much this one bothers me. There's no attempt to make a pun here whatsoever, it's just the name of the game plus the enemy's name, and a very correct question mark. Shouldn't it be Plants vs Rossenshroom, or Rossenshroom vs Zombies? I don't know, this one's lame. In Left 4 Dead, a game that shouldn't be here alphabetically, but I had to add this one in the last minute and can't be fucked to rearrange everything, you can find the phrase, looking for an M60, come see me, Crazy Dave, graffitied onto a wall. That's every reference to Plants vs Zombies in gaming that I could find, minus a bunch that I'm unsure about that I'll leave to the end of the video. But there's so much more to life than video games, supposedly. So next we'll do TV series.
Can we watch something else?
It's about to get really good. It's about to get really good. Trust me.
The show Big City Greens, a Disney animated show containing an entirely yellow cast, the episode Steak Night has a train station rat anointed the name Crazy Dave. In Good Game Spawn Point, an Australian TV show that's just IGN but everyone talks funny, the show's been running for like 14 years, further cementing the fact that Australia is not a real place. In Series 9 Episode 12, there's a fake news headline that says, Plants vs Zombies neck and neck in latest Suburbia opinion poll. In Series 9 Episode 35 of the same show, a presenter dresses up as a Conehead zombie. In the show iPartment, what I assumed was going to be an early 2000s sitcom making fun of Apple, but is actually a Chinese drama which claims to be China's answer to Friends. Episode 12, The Twist of Fate, Watching the Meteor Shower, a character mistakes a pitcher plant for a pea shooter. I'm 100% going off the wiki for this one because I can't find a translation. In the 2012 skit show You're Skitting Me, a show which must be fantastic because the first entry on IMDb's More Like This list is Prank Patrol, the peak of all children's media, the intro of the skit called If Life Was Like a Computer Game features pixel art zombies walking towards pixel art plants. In episode 8 of the Filipino melodrama Lorenzo's Time, someone can be seen in the background straight up playing Plants vs Zombies. I actually have a surprisingly large Filipino audience, so I'd be really interested to know if this is a well-known show over there and if anyone caught this in the wild. In Supernatural, which is just one of them insane content farms that pump out thousands of episodes to milk kids for ad revenue, except for parents, in the episode Mannequin Free the Reckoning, Dean walks into Ben's bedroom. I don't know who either of these characters are, and I don't care to find out. Dean leans over Ben's shoulder while he's playing a mobile game and says,
"Well, that's ridiculous. Plants could never kill a zombie."
That's all I have in terms of TV series references. Obviously there's going to be less than games, but it's really cool to see PVZ's influence outside of gaming. You're going to have to bear with me on this one, because 1, there isn't really much to put on screen here, and 2, these ones are kind of weird. In Diary of a Minecraft Zombie, I know, when a character is asked about their favourite game, they respond, "It's about plants and zombies." Later in the book, the same character writes about horrible things that happens in the game. Zombies were eaten by plants, blown to pieces, and ran over by lawnmowers. I'm assuming this character is the zombie in question. In Charlie Higson's novel The Fallen, one of the characters references the ladder zombie. When one of the characters is writing in their diary, she says how she used to be scared of this zombie when she played Plants vs Zombies on her father's phone before the disaster happened. I'm starting to think this video is going to be a fucking disaster. In the 20th issue of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, one of the segments is called Power Plants vs Zombies. This one is very subtle. For the final section of this video, I want to go over the references that I found online, again mostly from the wiki, that I think are more likely to be coincidences, but I think it would be fun to see if you guys think they're intentional or not in the comments.
I freaking love you, man!
The wiki states that in Cuphead, one of Baroness von Bonbon's attacks briefly contains a reference to the cherry bomb. The issue is that cherry bomb is quite a popular phrase used to describe various explosives or promiscuous women, and this probably references the phrase itself. I'll admit I do see the resemblance with the eyes, but everything in this fight has eyes, so it doesn't really hold up. In Scribblenauts, a game that predates generative AI by like 15 years and still does a better job, running over a zombie with a lawnmower instantly kills it. The wiki claims this is a reference to the mowers from Plants vs Zombies, but I don't know, dying is probably a pretty reasonable reaction to getting shredded to pieces. In Battle Cats, a game I had never heard of until 1,000 people with the same cat profile picture commented on my videos, the gardener cat has the ability to freeze enemies with the zombie trait. This seems good enough for me, but this time the wiki notes that this may be a coincidence, and who am I to argue with wiki? Team Fortress 2 has 2 cosmetic items that reference Plants vs Zombies, in the Brain Bucket and the Dead Cone. But they were pre-order bonuses for the original Plants vs Zombies, and I just don't think that really counts as a reference. The same is true for The Sims 3. When pre-ordering the Supernatural expansion pack, you'd get some Plants vs Zombies objects like the pea shooter walnut and plantain, which is actually a cool plant to reference. There's also a premium sunflower item that produces the best quality fertilizer in the game, as well as singing some iconic Plants vs Zombies tunes. This is actually a really clever double entendre, as not only does the fertilizer production reference how sunflowers fund the plants in the game, but its premium item status references how pay to win Plants vs Zombies 2 is. That's fucking genius. The battle for Dream Island contains a character that greatly resembles the Gatling Pea. The reason I didn't include this one is that Battle for Dream Island is a YouTube series, which doesn't really fit into the TV section, but this channel is raking in views that very likely rivals most TV channels still alive today, so I felt it at least deserves a reference here. In Sir Pelio's Spooky Month, a Newsground animated series that absolutely counts so don't bother commenting about it, a pea shooter and some sunflowers can briefly be seen in the background. Enter the Gungeon, one of the best roguelikes of all time, contains a weapon called the Pea Shooter. You can obtain it very early on. This one again is listed on the Wikipedia, but I don't think this one's intended. The pun here is probably referencing blowguns, the same name origin as Plants vs Zombies Pea Shooter. We can't really know what the developers were thinking when they made this one, so it could go either way, but to further muddy the water after looking into the Enter the Gungeon wiki, the pea shooter can also refer to any low caliber firearm, which makes sense since this is unlocked so early on, but the game also contains a cactus weapon, which does make me think this was probably intended. I don't know, you guys can let me know in the comment what you think about this one. And that was every single reference to Plants vs Zombies that I could find on the internet. Huge shout out to all the channels that I borrowed gameplay footage from. The links to each of them will be in the description. And thanks again for Gamersubs for being the only souls brave enough to sponsor my channel. One last thing, I have a new video on my animation channel coming out any day now, and I think it might be my best video yet, so subscribe to Shagrot's side quest to see when it comes out. I'll have a link in the description. If people enjoyed this video, I'd really like to make another one for another franchise. This was a really fun video to put together. Thank you guys all very much for watching. Cheers.